guys, welcome back. This is a beginner guitar lesson on sweep picking, so make sure you check out the pre-picking stage before you do this lesson right here. Now, I'm going to be focusing on the left hand to start with, just to make sure you get the chord shapes down. The first one is with your third finger on the 10th fret on the B string. Should sound something like that. The second finger on the 9th fret on the G string here, and then the first finger on the 8th fret on the high E. So that's 9, 10, 9, 8. Those notes there. So make sure you can fret all three of those notes and you can hear them cleanly before moving on. The next chord shape that we're going to be doing is going to be focused around this note here on the 7th fret on the high E. It's kind of like a D chord. You're going to have the third finger doing the 7th fret, 8th fret, sorry, and then the first finger here on the 7th fret on the G string. So make sure you've got all three of those notes ringing out clearly, and then I'm going to fire through the rest of the shapes. The next one is 2 frets down, and it's exactly the same. The final piece of the puzzle, because we're only doing 4 chord shapes, because this is about sweep picking, it's not about lick ideas really, it's just about getting the technique, is you're going to bar kind of across the 1st fret. The third finger goes on the 9th fret on the B string, and you've got the high E on the 7th fret there. Now, those are the 4 shapes, so make sure you can play all of those. Now we're going to be building up the sweep picking technique. Now you already know the right hand, so you should be okay and fluent if you've done the pre-picking. The beginning of the riff, you're going to be adding a little hammer on and pull off onto each of these shapes. You play the 12th fret with a high E, which is not what we did in our chord shape, but then we come down the chord shape and then back up. Now, don't forget to pause the video because I'm going to be showing the tablature for you on the left-hand side, which will really help for learning the riff. Me talking to you right now and you listening is always very difficult to pick up. But when it's written in front of you, you can pause the video and you can sort of work on it for a few minutes until the notes kind of come a bit more naturally. So I'm going to move on, but make sure that you pause and look at the tablature for figuring out the order of the notes. The important thing is that you watch the video for the picking pattern on the right hand. Next shape, so you've gone through this. Then we move down to the next chord shape which you've learned. The right hand is exactly the same as what it was, and on all of these shapes the picking pattern is exactly the same. So you might have trouble with the right hand when you start, but as soon as you get the right hand, the rest of the shapes are going to come much more naturally. So spend the time on that first shape, like I told you. Pause the video, look at the tab, and work on that before moving on. Then we move down to the third shape, which you've already learned. Exactly the same picking pattern again. And again, the final shape, right hand stays exactly the same, you've just got to move through the chord shape. Now we taught it to you with a barred chord, but you need to pick out, just like I told you, individual notes for it to sound the best it can be. Okay guys, so that is a beginner lesson on sweep picking. Now bear in mind it's a beginner lesson for lead guitar, so if you're a complete beginner, don't forget there is a beginner guitar course that you can get for free available on the website to get you up to at least the ability to give something like this a go. I wouldn't start, if you first picked up a guitar, on something like this, but if you're looking at sweep picking, I imagine you're probably a lead guitarist. So remember the important points: sweeping through the strings, making sure that your notes individually picked out and not strums. Make sure they're individual. Work through each of the shapes individually, learn the left hand before you start introducing the right, and then sync it up using the tablature that I'm going to display for you to give you a hand learning the notes. And always, always, when you practice slowly, because if you practice mistakes, those mistakes become learned. and then it's very difficult to unlearn a mistake. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. There's a next lesson for you waiting, the intermediate guitar lesson, which you can check out right now.